2 of the Art Lewis Show for this Thursday morning. Would you believe we're already in October? It's the 2nd of October. And there is an organization that has been around for many, many, many decades. We're going to talk about this morning. It is called Junior Achievement. In this case, Junior Achievement of North Central Michigan. With us to talk about it this morning, first of all, its president and CEO. She is Christy Levasseur. Christy, good morning.
Good morning, Art. Thank you so much for having us out here today.
Oh, thanks for coming out. And welcome to the organization. I guess you've only been there since May, you said?
Yep, since May.
Also with us, someone who's been there longer. She is the Vice President of Education for Junior Achievement, and she is Melissa Gleason. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
All right, let's start. For those that may live in a shell and never heard of Junior Achievement, how old is the organization? How did it get started? Do you know? Do you know the history of it?
I know that they're just over 100 years old.
Yeah, 1919
yeah.
is when it was founded. So it's been a long time. And it started out with a politician. And it sounds like I'm going to make a joke here, but it's a politician.
You already did.
Oh, that's true. Politician, a phone company owner, and then, what was it? Oh, a paper company owner person. So they all came together and said, we're doing something that we love. We're creating a community that we want to live in and have our families. What else we need to bring this forward? Because the kids were growing up and just doing the same thing over and over, but it wasn't advancing. That's where Junior Achievement Company program came in. And that was our first program. It was a club. Like we talked about a lot of times, it was JA Company, was an after-school program, and then eventually it has evolved into what we do today. But we still do the JA Company program.
So the JA Company program, and I'm stretching my mind now to remember this stuff, but was that where youngsters would come in, they're given an assignment to create a business, so to speak, make that business happen, sell the business, make money, and do all that good stuff,
right,
to learn how to be entrepreneurs, really? That's really what it was all about,
exactly. That's what it was. It was like, what are some other things that you can do besides working on a farm or in a factory? Like, what's something else that you could do for our community? What service would you provide? And then as a group, they decide what that would be, and they use real money. They get investors. They do all this stuff that is real business. But then they also learn how to close it. They also learn how to, at the end of the semester, they shut it down. So, I like to say they sell.
They move the business onto another entrepreneur,
yes.
Right? But, when you think about it, and you're going back, over 106 years roughly, those were different times. And for someone to think about being an entrepreneur back then was a whole different world.
That. Right. And it really boils down to the happiness. It was just, we're happy doing these jobs that we're doing, but look at it, probably because they became parents and their kids were like, I don't want to work on the farm. I want to do something else.
How can you create a job?
Yeah. So it's like, what else would you do? And how would you change it up? But at the same time, to be a productive, successful individual, there are the basics that we all need to know. And that's where the 3 pillars came into effect with Junior Achievement. Entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and then work readiness.
Which is the expansion you've reached today. It's why Junior Achievement is bigger than it was back then, and we'll talk more about that. But Christy, let me ask you, what drew you to Junior Achievement? You were in the chamber game for a long time.
I was in the chamber game, a great game to be in, too. And this position really married both of those together, education and business. And I have a teaching degree that I got several years ago, and I was a JA instructor 21 years ago.
So you were familiar with the organization then?
Yep. I taught kindergartners money, and it's interesting.
That's interesting.
Today, well, and you think of it today, I mean, it's not unusual how long till a kid sees money, because we pay by Venmo or Apple Pay or a credit card, and So it
Today, I'm hoping somebody teaches teenagers about money, leave alone.
that's us.
We do that
Yes,
too.
we would like to be
but
that.
Identification of a quarter.
Yeah. Yes. I walked in the first day to kindergarten, and I said, and I worked at a bank at the time, and I said, I work at the bank. What do you get when you go to the bank? And I should have known, but I expected them to say money, but they said, suckers. I thought, okay,
This is true.
I see where we're going now. So I had my work cut out for me, but we got there.
Some things haven't changed.
That's right. That's right.
Because in the late 40s and 50s, when I went to the bank to make my little savings deposit, I got a sucker.
Heck, yes.
That's right.
That's a bank staple.
That is funny.
I think we all always had our favorite too.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's what we want.
So let's, we've talked about the junior achievement of old and how it got started. What's different about junior achievement today? How has it changed?
You're a good. Melissa's
Yeah.
starting her 20th year with the organization, so she's an excellent person.
So
to raise
She's
there.
made those changes.
Yes, yes,
I've
she
seen
has.
them, yeah.
Yes, she has.
No, I think the biggest change that we've made now, it used to be just like we talked about an after school program. Now we're integrated into the school day with the educators working side by side with them and supporting them in what they need to teach with their common standards and objectives and just social studies, the social skills of just, like we talked about, being a successful adult. And
I wonder if they still.
Yeah.
You've answered a question for me because I've wondered if they still teach that.
we have, and so we're kindergarten all the way through graduation. However, we've just expanded. JAUSA has just expanded into beyond. So like those formental years, like 24 or 26, and see, it's so new. I don't have the exact year down, but because you think about it, you go through your training, if it's college or a skills trade, and you're starting your business, you still need to know. Now you've got real money to figure out a
real
balance.
risk.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And you've moved out on your own. How do you know, purchasing a car, you're starting a family, you have somebody else to do this thing called life with together. And so we've moved into that next chapter as well. So we're continually evolving. Not only that, but our program material is different. A lot of our materials and learning experiences that we provide to the educator and the volunteer delivers is through the computer. We have a learning platform, so a lot of digital resources that are there for the volunteer to deliver, for the educator to utilize to supplement lessons that they have, but also it's free.
So
Parents can go online and get it as well as students.
So is JA more integrated with the schools now in the learning process rather than the company building process of its origins?
I would say yes, because we have our programs. We can show any state because we're JAUSA, but they have worked to pull out common core standards and say this is the JA program. This is how we support you in doing that. So we can very much be integrated into the learning that is happening versus that club aspect, even though we still have those opportunities.
Yeah.
And some states, including Michigan, now require a certain amount of financial literacy from their students.
Exactly. And so do you want to take it with?
Yeah, we have two programs that fit into that, and we've been working with schools throughout our 18 counties that we can offer that programming for them. We have two directly that we can give to teachers if they want the curriculum, or we can have volunteers come and teach it into the classroom.
And these are curriculums that meet the state requirements.
Yep, they're directly they directly align. JAUSA has helped us create this programming so it fits into that graduation requirement, and it helps us get local business folks into the schools and get kids. There's a statistic in the JA world that says 1 out of every 5 kids goes into the job that their JA mentor has. And that's
really
it just teaches. And I'm actually one of those people. My high school JA mentor worked for the Chamber of Commerce. I was surprised when I heard that statistic.
You were the 1 out of the 5.
I was the 1 out of the 5, but it just gives kids a good example to learn about jobs that they didn't even know.
And the other thing it provides, it may be, not recognized up front, but it's work ethic.
Yeah.
You know, guess what? I don't see a lot of that today. And I tell the story all the time. And I graduated high school young. I was 16 in New York City. The day I graduated, I got home, and on my dining room table were New York City work papers that my father had filled out and the address of the job that he got me that started Monday.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
you're going to college, he says, I'm paying your tuition. You're providing your pocket money.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep.
Work ethic.
Yep.
Yeah.
This
Yep.
is what it is. You want it,
Yeah.
you earn it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually we have a program called For Our Future. It's in conjunction with the Dow Championship, and
Yep. I'm familiar with that.
those kids, yes, yes. And actually, one of our business owners, our student business owners, was on with Matt Fallon during the tournament. That these kids create, they invent a product, write the business plan, and pitch it to a panel of judges in May, and the top teams go on and they get a whole day to sell at the Dow Championship, and they get to keep everything they make. But they are the business owners. They learn supply chain problems.
Which is the typical JA model in a
Yes,
way.
yes, exactly. And we are with them every step of the way. The tournament folks from Outlier do a wonderful job with them. They help them. They talk about marketing and what's going to be best for the people. And these kids adapt.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll take a break, come back with our guests as we talk about junior achievement. More ahead. We'll also talk about a number of programs and events coming up and Hall of Fame and all kinds of wonderful things ahead.
Gotta go.
Junior Achievement, and we're doing that with its president and CEO of the North Central Michigan Junior Achievement. She is Christy Lavasser. And Melissa Gleason with us, the Vice President of Education for Junior Achievement. Let's talk about the big elephant in every room. How is Junior Achievement funded? And they immediately laugh. I don't understand.
No. It's we are very fortunate to have really great, generous support from our business community and our foundation community, just across actually almost all of our 18 counties. We do get some state funding for the personal finance specific program.
Maybe.
And yes, definitely. We're also waiting and watching like all of our school systems. And we were, with that money, we were able to expand our reach into that personal finance and really come alongside educators to help them as they transition into that curriculum. So it's been really good. That funding has been great for us just to expand, because personal finance, I mean, you can make money after college, but can you manage it? And that's what we're here to teach kids as they go through and get some successful tools in their toolbox. But I think personal finance as a graduation requirement is a great move for the state of Michigan and all of our kids.
Yeah, they didn't. When I went to school, which was a long time ago, and I went in the New York City school system, we had, it was called home economics.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
You know, part of that, if you were lucky, they taught you how to do a checkbook, but that was it. I mean, it wasn't very much.
It was usually how to buy your groceries, right? It was a budget around buying
How to
groceries.
sew,
How to cook noodles.
iron,
Exactly.
how to sew, how to
Right.
iron, how to type, how to do
Yeah.
all that stuff,
Yep.
you know. But there was no real focus on financial literacy back then. None whatsoever.
Right.
So when we talk about financial literacy, what's included in that curriculum?
The curriculum, there's the state standards, and those are all covered. There are 10 different sessions, actually, of this graduation requirements that the State Department has put out there. And it is the basics of just what money are you going to earn? How are you going to utilize it? What is a net income versus, your paycheck? You think you're going to get this much money, but what are all these taxes?
There's a reason they call it gross.
Right. How do you budget?
Yeah, exactly. Just, what is your budgeting? But also, this is expand more. There's the 5 sessions that are led either by the educator, if the educator chooses to deliver it themselves, or we have a community volunteer come in, usually from the financial world, that can come in and share their experiences not only of their personal experiences of financial literacy, personal finance, but of their customers as well. Like, these are the traps people fall into and that kind of thing. But then they go through all this. There's those 5 sessions, and it's usually 5 classroom sessions. And then that happen once a week. But in addition, there's 5 other self-guided sessions that are anywhere from 40 minutes to 10 minutes that the students go through, and they learn about the other topics that support the personal finance standards that the State Department has
how
put
to
out
use a
there.
credit card, how
Yep,
to
credit
manage
card.
your money, what risk.
FAFSA.
Yep.
Talk about FAFSA.
How to student loans.
How to
yeah.
use a credit card and realize it's real money.
Yes.
Yeah. yeah.
Insurance. What does it mean to have insurance? You know, so often it's like we want to take, as young, we think we're invincible, right? That we don't need to spend a lot of money on insurance, do we? Well, let's talk about that.
If I understand it right, this is not voluntary. This is mandatory. You
This
need it
is
for
a graduation requirement for this year's 10th graders.
Is this
By
the
the time
first
they
time?
graduate.
How long has it been around?
Well, we started paying attention to it with last year's, it would have been that. I don't know. It just came to light for us that it's been reintroduced. So I don't know if they changed the standards somehow, but somehow the State Department and Junior Achievement came together and said, we can do this. We have a program already. Like, this existed well before this graduation requirement was there. This is something that we were delivering to, I want to say, like 10 different high schools in
If
our
they wanted it,
counties.
right,
If they
yeah.
wanted it, if they were choosing to do so.
Now they all want it.
Because of the state money, we have more than doubled the number of personal finance programs that we deliver throughout our counties. And we have many more schools that we could support as well. And the neat thing is that even though some high schools maybe already have pieces of this integrated into their curriculum, we can come in with the full package and go, okay, what pieces are you missing? Let's run those. Here's the material for you. You don't have to start from scratch. And the State Department, Education State Department knows if you're doing a JA program, personal finance, or running the semester-long program of financial literacy, everything, all the standards are met. They know. It's checked off. They don't have to worry about it. So, and it's free. That's the part that I think, when we talk about money, it's free to them. We do not ask the schools to pay for anything for this, and they can utilize this how they want to do their job. So
I can't imagine why they'd say no.
Yeah,
there you go.
A lot of
it's
them
just
are
getting
just
the word out there.
Yeah, are just now starting to pull that curriculum together. I mean, some have been doing it for a while, but there are some because those kids are getting the requirement starts in 2028, and so those kids are now
When they
old enough,
graduate, right.
and so we're reaching out every single day to more schools and let us help. It's
I have to ask this too. But you take away this financial literacy just for a minute in the classroom. But in order for an organization to survive, you have to have participants. Has Junior Achievement been able to attract youngsters over these years? Or is it declining or growing? Or how do you see it?
Well,
outside of the classroom.
Well, last year, and this was my first go around with the For Our Future students. We had 13 schools or 13 teams of kids who participated, and that was up from 7 the year before.
Yeah, we doubled it.
These kids were clamoring, and I'm telling you, I would hire any one of those kids who came to that pitch competition. Yes, 5 teams were selected, but they were all poised, well-spoken, entrepreneurial, creative. It was a refreshing day.
Glad to hear it.
It was a great. I would
good news.
Put the work
I would-
into it.
I
Yeah.
invite anybody to come watch. These kids just were so good.
We'll talk more about those events and some things coming up here with our guests from Junior Achievement of North Central Michigan after these notes.
My name is Kim Harris.
All right, we're back with you, and with us from Junior Achievement, it's Vice President of Education. She is Melissa Gleason, and it's President and CEO of Junior Achievement of North Central Michigan. She is Christy Lavasser. What is an IOM after your name? I'm curious.
It stands for the Institute for Organization Management, and it runs
okay.
through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and it's essentially like a master's degree in nonprofit management.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I'd heard about it. Let's talk about some of the events that surround themselves with junior achievement. Like, tell me about this Business Hall of Fame. I want to start with that one.
Sure. The Business Hall of Fame, there's actually one tonight in Midland at the H Hotel. We're honoring 3 Hall of Fame laureates. We'll be inducting into it Dr. Lydia Watson from My Michigan Health, Joe Cuzzu, owner of the Village Green, and Rod Coleman, the president of Sim Financial. And then we have a rising star, Seth Perigo from Huntington Bank. And we're working on teaching kids how to not just live here and be a citizen and be successfully financially. And these people are what they can aspire to. And so we honor them as we help kids work towards that same success.
My late father, when I was very young, told me that when you move to a community, you don't just live in the community, you become a part of the community. Mm-hmm. And look for things to make it a better place to live.
Yep.
That was his philosophy. And, he oversold me. Because I found out you can do too much, But it's important because we lose sight of the fact these business people, they make money in the community. They have to do business in the community. But they do a lot more with their money and their time.
For sure.
Time is money.
And I took that saying, John Lynch from the Three Rivers Corporation, he says that very frequently. That's where I've heard it. I've heard him speak several times, and he always says, are you a citizen or do you just live here? And especially all of our Hall of Fame laureates, I look around at that list and I think, wow.
Now, is that just Midland?
Yes, we have one in Saginaw in the spring
you do?
as well.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
And this is tonight? Is it open to the public? Or?
It is tonight. We have about 5 seats left. And
good.
if somebody really wanted to come, we have a seat for them. They can call our office or, it would be better if they called the office just because if 10 people show up at the door, it could be
a problem. Be out in the hallway at the H.
Right. It's just a lovely evening to celebrate these folks. Give a little update about JA in the past year and just thank them for their role in building our community.
This Hall of Fame, this Business Hall of Fame, this is a JA project?
It is. JA's all over the U.S.
Is that right?
Do the Hall of Fame. Yep. We are part of the whole group.
So what's the relationship with Junior Achievement USA?
It's almost, there's probably a really fancy way to say it, but it's almost like a national franchise relationship. However, and I guess I've never been like a franchisee of a business to know, but they support us in all of our curriculum. They're like kind of like consultants for us. We can go to them for human resources questions or marketing help or just a lot of business support for us as an individual area, but we do operate fairly autonomously. Right now we run a program in our in the Mount Pleasant area called, it's getting a new name, but it's essentially a reality store. Kids they work to get their career, and then they get a salary, and they can go from station to station and buy a car and buy a home and buy childcare, and they have to budget through the whole. It's a real world hands-on situation that they go from station to station.
Here's your Monopoly money, now make it grow.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you bet. And that's not necessarily a JA USA program, but they've allowed us to use a lot of their resources and put that together so we can serve some of our rural schools.
No, because I would have to believe if you have a successful local program, JA USA is going to look at it and maybe
100%.
incorporate it and send it to others.
Yes, yes. There is a lot of best practice sharing. We're constantly connected to our other JAs all over the United States.
For sure.
Let's say there's a youngster out there who wants to know more about JA, and maybe they want to be one of those company people,
Mm-hmm.
What do they do? Where do they go? Is it strictly through the school, or can they do it externally?
We have people who call us all the time who say, my kids would like to get into a JA program, and sometimes we can work with their school and get that program into the school. But the For Our Future and the Titan Challenge happen outside of school. So we have some student events that kids can sign up for and
independently
join.
from an educator or an advisor.
So explain the For Our Future program. Let's start with that one.
So that's the program. It happens every spring, and kids, we have an open invitation to kids who want to create a product.
It's a competitive thing.
It is
Concession
competitive,
product.
and it's a concession product. It has to be something. The Dow Championship gives us a concession tent to sell from, and they support it in all the ways, just like all their concessions. And the kids create the program, and then they write the business, plan it out, and bring it to a pitch competition with samples. We eat real good
We
that
like
day.
samples.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of fun. Just ideas that they come up with and little marketing ploys that they work through, and then the judges select the top teams, and then then we work with them on how to, okay, what kind of supplies are we going to need? What is the average attendance of each day? What do they, what cash are they going to have on hand, if any? How are they going to track throughout the day? Are they going to offer a deal? Somebody this year offered a meal deal.
All of this under the guidance of what's health department approved.
Yes.
And,
Well, yeah, you have to-
learning
that's
about
the other
all
thing,
those
because-
regulations.
Yeah, because if you're dealing with the public with food, for example, you
exactly.
have to meet the standards.
Yeah. And it needs to be quiet. Where they place us with that concession, they're golfing right there.
Yeah,
All of a sudden, and
Right off the 17th tee, I believe.
So there's a lot of things that, like we've talked about, it's a lot more than just the business and how it looks on paper. It is adjusting to the customers when they come up. Do you provide that extra hand for them to help carry the item that they bought from you to the table, because they have all these little kids running around and they're by themselves, and just like seeing those different things. So the students walk away with real money from that for our future day, which is so exciting for them. And we couldn't do that without this opportunity and the sponsorship from Ally to make that happen as well.
And
So-
I was going to ask, are there sponsors for JA? Do you have corporate sponsors?
We do. Most of our sponsorships center around the specific events or whatnot, but we get support from so many in the whole region, and a lot of the big player names that you hear a lot, like Garber and First State Bank and Members First Credit Union and Dow Credit Union, and I could go on and on and on.
Right.
They're all great supporters and help us both with donations and volunteers.
Volunteers.
Melissa has a fleet of almost 200 volunteers that
that
teach our
make it
programs.
happen. Right. Bring reality into the classroom is what I like to say.
All right, let me take my last break here, and then we will be right back with our guests.
WSGW is you.
And we're back in studio with Christy Lavasser. She is the president and CEO of Junior Achievement of North Central Michigan, and its vice president of education, Melissa Gleason, with us this morning. We talked a little bit about the one competitive program in the spring, but it's not the only one, is it?
It's not the only one.
There's one coming up sooner than that.
Yes, the JA Titan Challenge. And that is something that we have been running with our schools, I've been with JA starting my 20th year. So 20 years we've been doing the JA Titan Challenge. And it is not only a fundraiser for the organization, but it's like the last session of one of our JA programs called JA Titan. So what happens is educators have an opportunity to have this program for their students, where there are 5 different sessions that they run through, learning, creating R&D for a cell phone. It's actually, the JA Titan is a cell phone that students come together and form their own company and to sell the best cell phone, right? So R&D, what are we going to develop more on? Is it going to be the photography, the better camera? Is it going to be the memory? Is it going to be the storage? Just all the things, right, that they can come up with. And it's a computer simulation. So they're deciding how many labs do we need to have? How much are we going to produce? What are we going to price it at? And the whole time they're learning how to look at their competition through this as well. What is their competitor selling it at? What is being sold? And it goes through a quarter system. And then at the end of it, all these different points come together and there's a winner. And then that winner actually takes home cash prize. So we have an 18 county area that we serve. And we traditionally have had anywhere between attend during the COVID years. We had to do some virtual things,
Yeah.
a little different. But now we're all in person where we're going to Northwood University. And this year's competition is going to be on December 12th at Northwood. And we're so excited to be partnering with them. They're also not only going to provide the space, but they're going to feed everybody. And we all know teenagers love to be fed. So this is,
You're not the only
so we're
ones.
going to give them their brain food. But it's an